Colorado dentist accused of poisoning his wife's protein shakes, causing her death. Dr. Craig's wife of 23 years died on March 18, 2023. Prosecutors say he killed her so that he could have a fresh start with another woman. The story doesn't end there, though. Most recently, Craig is accused of soliciting another killing, that of a detective working the case, and he's going to be back in court this morning. That will get underway shortly. Joining us now, Misty Marris, to talk more about the latest twist in this case. Let's remind everybody, Misty, the allegations against him, and how strong is the prosecution's case?
Yeah, so the allegations against him basically shows an intent to systematically poison his wife. So he's charged with murder. And ultimately, the evidence that we expect to see coming into the courtroom once this trial actually takes place relates to electronic records showing that a certain type of poison was purchased by him, and then ultimately she ended up dying not too long after that. But all of the evidence relates to this electronic footprint of actually getting the poisonous substance, and then the pathway the prosecution is going down is that this was a very well-planned and meticulous intentional crime.
So now there are allegations, Misty, that he's allegedly trying to enlist fellow inmates to kill the detective who's working the case. Is any of that admissible in court?
This is going to be a pretty messy case because there's two new charges that have come up. First, you have the solicitation to commit murder of a detective who's involved in the case. Not only, Marni, can that tack on another significant sentence, that's a felony charge, but it also can speak to, it's not the crime, it's the cover-up. So now you have allegations of trying to interfere with that investigation. In addition to that, there's also a solicitation to commit perjury. He was trying to get somebody to put a suicide note, which would be exculpatory evidence in his home that was allegedly from his wife. That's another charge. And all of that, to your point, is going to come into the courtroom because it's not only speaking to allegations of those two separate felony charges, it can also go back to that intent factor with the underlying murder charge. That's the subject of the case.
And one of the other allegations that he's offering to provide dental help or dental care to the inmate's mom if they're able to carry this out. I'm curious, Misty, how you think his defense is going to argue their way out of this.
Well, first of all, he's got a brand new lawyer joining the case. As we know, before these new allegations came to light, his attorney made an application to the court to be removed from the case, citing various ethical rules. Shortly thereafter, this news dropped about these new charges. So a new attorney is going to come in. They're going to have, obviously, fresh eyes dig into this. But some of the typical defenses to solicitation, sometimes it's entrapment. It can be that the language was not so clear as to take an overt act towards the plan. So there's various legal defenses at play here, which could be raised. But Marni, you might be the next best lawyer on this case, because the number one thing would be to try and sever these two new charges from the underlying murder charge so that the jury is not hearing about this component of the solicitation charges along with the underlying murder charge.
It seems, based on what we know, Misty, I mean, there's a certain level of arrogance if what he's alleged of doing now behind bars to sort of cover up the case or to free himself is actually happening. With somebody like that, do you think that he's going to want to take the stand in his own defense?
It's unlikely. Look, in any case, it's very challenging for the defendant to take the stand because it can open up the door to a whole host of issues that wouldn't normally come into the courtroom. But in this particular case, with these allegations, especially these cover-up allegations, these after the fact from the jailhouse trying to interfere to the point of solicitation to commit murder and planting evidence, it's very unlikely that he will take the stand, although it is the defendant's choice. The lawyer makes a recommendation, but ultimately it's the individual who makes a decision about whether or not they actually testify. So to your point, if he insists on doing it, that is his ultimate decision to make.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.